On a scale of 1 to 10, like how would you rate living in Korea?
Discrimination in Korea is still a little bit high.
But found an apartment in Seoul. God.
They can kind of get lost in Korean society.
처음으로 그냥 얘들아 한국어를 좀 배우세요.
Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jin. Today I asked foreigners on the street, how would you rate living in Korea? In this video you can see the interesting answers about pros and cons of life in Korea. Then let's get into it. Where are you from?
I'm from Ukraine.
How long have you been in Korea?
I have been here for 3 years already.
I'm from Italy and I've been living in Korea since more or less 1 year.
I'm from France. For a moment, I'm just here for a holiday for 3 months, but at the past, I lived in Korea for 2 years.
I'm from Miami. This is actually my second time in Korea. So in between, back and forth for 3 years, yeah.
What brought you to Korea?
I actually did my master's degree here. So after finishing, after graduation, I just started working here.
What do you do for a living?
I'm just an entertainer here. So I do some TV shows, radios, and some model job. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
I am a full international student, full time.
My first travel here, I was just here for working holiday, and after I work here as a photographer.
Right now I'm freelance working. I'm a research assistant, so a lot of my work is online.
On a scale of 1 to 10, like how would you rate living in Korea?
I would give living in Korea a 9 out of 10.
What is the 9 point is for?
First of all, the people. I met beautiful people, very polite, kind of always ready to help me. I'm also living in Seoul. It's extremely efficient and comfortable. Transportation is perfect.
Actually, for me, maybe it's really honest. 7.5 out of 10.
Could you tell me why did you give 7.5?
Actually, as a person who lives here for a pretty long time, I just I speak Korean and I just have a lot of Korean friends, but I feel that I cannot be here a part of the society. Yeah, because I'm look different, so Koreans are not accepting me as just a person. They sometimes oh, we are foreigners, so maybe can I just touch your hair, or can I just grab your nose? It's are you from America? It's no, guys, just please think about me as just a person who also living here as you are. So that's why maybe this kind of feeling is a little bit disappointing.
I think that I would give it a 7.5 or an 8.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty high.
I think the only reason I drop it is because if you're not Korean, it can kind of get a little lonely sometimes. If you don't speak the language, it can be really hard to meet people and connect that. Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate living in Korea?
As a foreigner, I think 8.
Yeah.
And as a Korean citizen, I think maybe 6.
What's the difference?
So the difference for me and the hardest thing in Korea is found an apartment. When you need to live in Korea, you have to do many things you don't have to do as a foreigner.
Yeah.
As a foreigner, you just take an Airbnb for a few months and that's it. But found an apartment in Seoul, God,
Very expensive, right?
it's very expensive. For some place, you will pay maybe 600 or 700 euro or dollars for only 10 square meters, and it's really expensive. Yeah.
So you mean if you are gonna live here for a few years, it's very good. But if you want to live here for a long time as a citizen, it'll be a bit harder, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what about working? Is it hard to find a job in Korea?
Yes, actually it's really hard, especially if you don't know Korean. But in my case, I know Korean and I passed all the interviews in Korean. But still, the companies don't want to accept you as a foreigner because they need to pay additional taxes when they hire foreigners. So they don't want to just work with it. Yeah, because it's also some paperwork for them, and they need to pay more money. Sometimes they're not hiring because of this reason. But if you have F visa, it's 영주권, permanent visa.
Yeah.
You way more easily can find a job here. And yeah, guys, if you want to work here, please study Korean.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising me because you're very fluent in Korean, but still it's hard to find a job.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes because you're foreigners and they ask me every time oh, can you be the part of our society in the company? It's yeah, I lived here for 3 years, so I know the culture, how to just do some things like with elder Korean people, but still they're just like a little bit worried about foreigners in the company.
I think also for find a job. So it's easy to find a job, I think, in the IT or some data job. But if you want to do other things and you're not English native speaker for be a teacher, it's really difficult.
Like if you're not fluent in Korean, it's really hard to find a job.
It closes many doors if you can't speak Korean. And I think it's normal because if you're in France, you have to speak French. It's the same in US and the same in Korea.
Yeah.
So if you don't speak Korean, it can be difficult. Yeah.
True. What are the bad things about living in Korea?
Discrimination in Korea is still a little bit high.
Really?
I never experienced it in clubs as many foreigners can experience it, like no foreigners clubs. I don't go to clubs, so I never experienced that. But one thing that I experienced was Korea did not recognize foreigner vaccines, even though they were the same vaccines. I was vaccinated with Pfizer, and Korean vaccinates with Pfizer too, but my vaccine was not recognized because I did it in my country.
So do you think like Korea is not fully ready to like organize or manage like foreigners in Korea?
I think it's getting better, definitely.
Some places can be closed for foreigner. I once experienced that. You know, my hair are very curly. So I was living in the south of Seoul, so not a place where many foreigners go. I was for my cut, for my hair.
Yeah.
And the guy inside told me it was not possible. But I think it just was like, I don't want to ruin your head, so I will not touch your hair. But I know some clubs are only for Korean. Some gym during COVID was only for Korean people. So it can be have some dark side of Seoul, I think.
Maybe stereotypes. If people don't really like understand like people from different places, they might feel a certain way about you. That's not always true, but I think that's everywhere. I don't think that's just in Korea. Yeah.
What kind of stereotype have you like encountered?
I think like just as a woman, like there's like the open-minded stereotype. Like a lot of guys will meet me and then they'll be like, "Oh, like, are you open-minded? Do you live alone?" And it's not just like the regular kind of flirting. They're trying to like be a little bit suggestive. I asked one of my guy friends before, like, do they ask that to Korean women? And they were like, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is the good thing, like positive side of living in Korea?
Okay, like first of all is like safety. Yeah, it's really safe country. And maybe like the second one is transportation. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Like the bus, the KTX, the subway, everything is so clean and like so quick, so nice. So I really recommend it. Maybe like the third one will be food. Food, yeah. Not just Korean food, like as a food, because like, you know, like some foreigners may like it, some foreigners may don't like it because like it's a little bit spicy, but I really like the culture of this small restaurants, like that are held by some 할머니, some 아줌마, because it's really convenient. Sometimes we don't have any time just to cook at home, so if you just want to grab some food, you can go there. So it's really convenient and I really like it.
The good thing about living in Korea are the Korean people, nightlife. For me, coming from Europe and France, it's a bit cheaper. And the Korean way of life, I can explain, but it's a thing you can find just here, and it's really cool.
You used to live in Korea for 2 years, right? Then what made you come back to Korea?
So for seeing my friends, of course. So for seeing my friends, and I miss Korea a lot.
I think one of the things, I was talking to my friend about this, that everything is very convenient. I also think that you can be very self-sufficient, at least as a woman. Like you don't always have to have someone else do something for you. It's very easy and safe to do everything on your own, especially at nighttime. I think that's like a big plus because I'm from the city and I don't really like to go out at night as much where I'm from. What else? I think it's like, to me, I like to be meeting people from all over the place. So it's fun for me to meet people who are different than me. So I think that's a plus if you can get that in your normal life.
Lastly, there are a lot of people who want to come to Korea for study or for work and just for living. And what would you say to them?
Learn Korean.
Learn Korean.
Is I think is the most important thing to do before coming in Korea. When you come in Korea with good Korean skills, that will open you many doors you can imagine. If just here for holidays, okay, English will be enough. But if you want to live there, yeah, you have to learn Korean.
Can you say it in Korean?
그러면 처음으로 그냥 얘들아 한국어를 좀 배우세요. 한국어를 좀 배우고 그리고 제 어떤 솔직한 말은 그냥 한국 이렇게 제대로 오기 전에 그냥 한국에 그냥 여행으로 한 번이라도 좀 오시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 여기서 사람들이 어떻게 사는지 어떤 음식을 먹는지 뭐 하는지 이런 거 볼 수 있기 때문에 나중에는 좀 오래 살고 싶으면 이거 좀 도움이 될 것 같습니다.
특히나 대학생이라면은 교환학생을 한번 와보는 것도 되게 좋을 것 같아요.
맞아요.
왜냐면
저도 그랬어요. 저도 처음으로 왔을 때 6개월 동안 여기서 이제 교환학생으로 살았어요.
그러고 나서 이제
네.
살 수 있겠다 이런 생각이 드신 건가요?
네, 맞아요. 그랬던 것 같아요. 그 음식이 제일 맞고 뭐 한국 사람들이랑 또 이렇게 잘 맞고 그래서 뭐 다음에 오면 뭐 나쁘지 않을 것 같다 이런 생각으로 왔습니다.
Oh, yeah, definitely come. I think it's a great experience. It's a good challenge to yourself, but I think that you should know yourself before coming. I think that when I meet a lot of foreigners that are coming for the first time, they can kind of get lost in Korean society.
Could you tell me like specifically how they lost?
Oh, yeah, sure. Like, I guess I'll just speak for girls. Like, I identify as a woman, so I'll speak for women. But a lot of women can feel like they have to strictly abide by Korean, like, beauty standard or like expectations for women. So sometimes they can get a little like anxious or sad because they have to change themselves. But I don't think that's always true. I think if you meet people who accept you for who you are, then that's like enough. Especially if you're not gonna live here your whole life. Like,
True, yeah.
you know, just be respectful and, you know, that's enough.
Okay then, thank you so much for the interview and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much.
네, 그러면 오늘 인터뷰 참여해 주셔서 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다.
네.